when it comes to system maintenance, there are all kinds of things you can do theoretically, and you'll see lots of ads and stuff to unclog your system. My personal belief is tear it right down to the bare wall and reinstall everything. But Andy and Sean Carruthers, our lab guy, have been investigating ways you can speed up Windows without reinstalling and what really works. The results may surprise you. How do you test, first of all?
Using a benchmarking program called PC Mark.
So you've got some actual numbers.
Yeah, what happens is actually, I'll show you. There's a little program here, and you basically run it on the system, and it kind of runs through a series of different tests. You know, it looks at the graphics card, it looks at this processor. It does just it basically pushes the system to its limit on many different levels.
Now, some of that's not going to change. I mean, the graphics card's going to be the same speed no matter what you do.
Right.
Well, but some will change.
Right. So it'll look at little components, and it gives it a score,
right.
And then so the better it performs, and it adds up to a big number, which is sort of benchmark number. Now, so
and you actually were able to see differences.
Oh yeah, wow. Absolutely. And you said, you know, I tear my system down.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Yeah.
And at the end of this segment, you'll understand why that works.
That's the best thing to do.
That is the best thing to do.
What, this is the test?
So this is one of the graphics tests that's running right now.
I love it.
And this thing just kind of rolls away for 15, 20 minutes or so. So Sean would drank a lot of coffee in the last couple of weeks because he just sort of had to leave the systems running and doing all.
You
of
find
tests.
PC Mark is the best to benchmark. You know, for a while there was Ziff Davis did that whole benchmark suite, and they just kind of stopped doing it. And there hasn't really been a lot of good. So you think PC Mark though is the one?
This is the one that Sean's been using like almost all his career.
Yeah, you like it, Sean?
It's an overall system test.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's good to know. And that's free, right? You can download that.
It's about
$20.
$20.
$20. Okay, not horribly expensive, but certainly worth having.
Absolutely.
And what I like about this is there's a lot of voodoo. A lot of people say, "Oh, I do this," and there's nobody's really testing this. So now we've got some actual numbers.
We have some actual numbers. In fact, so we took 5 different strategies that you might use, and people might say, "Hey, you should try this because this might help improve your system." Right. Number 1, we went to msconfig.
Yes.
Now let me show you that, and we showed a lot, but I'm just going to review it again. msconfig basically is a little utility in Windows that allows you to change what runs at Windows startup, and it does a whole bunch of other things. But we really like this startup tab because it lists all the programs that load into Windows when Windows starts up. And so what we did was we went through and we sort of picked all the non-crucial things that don't need to run.
Turn them off.
Real Player, for example.
You don't need that.
QuickTime.
It'll still work without.
Oh yeah, it's just sort of sitting there ready to go. So
It's
you can jump into action.
I think it's an ad in the system tray, is what I think. They just want you to remember that
exactly.
they exist.
It's a quasi-spyware, you know, or adware. Anyway.
We're here.
So what we did is we would use 3 different machines. We used a laptop and a couple of 3.4 gigahertz PC desktops. And we went through and we said, okay, let's take 30 or so files and get down to, say, 10.
Good.
And what happened was an amazing thing. When we ran the benchmarks again, on one particular PC, we saw an 18 point, I think it's, I'm going to look at my crib notes here, 18.5% gain.
That I believe.
Yeah. Because basically, it's taking all of that stuff completely out of memory.
You get 10% alone by turning off Norton's System Doctor, that thing that sits there running all the time. Just turn that off.
That's right.
10%.
10%, I know.
People go out and they spend money on cooling systems so they can overclock 10% or more RAM. All you have to do is turn off Norton's System Works.
Right. Now, curiously, on the laptop, we didn't get a whole lot of boost because the laptops run a lot of utilities. The touchpad, you know,
you can't get rid of a lot of that stuff.
You can't get a lot of that stuff. So, but that, as it turns out, of all these 5 tests, was the best way to get your system running more efficiently.
Okay.
Now, we also ran, you mentioned WinDoctor.
Yeah.
We ran WinDoctor, and across the board, it hurt the performance by about 1 to 2%.
It slowed it down to run it?
Down to run it.
Now, that makes no sense at all.
After you ran it, it made it slow.
It's not running. Whatever changes it made slowed things down. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
There you go. That's another strike against porous management.
Kind of been always my kind of feeling about it, but it's good to see actual numbers. Okay.
Now disk defragmented. You know.
Oh, that's interesting. Now I'm the one who says don't do that too often.
We ran 2 different applications. One was the Windows-based one that comes with XP, and we ran it on actually not only the 3 test machines but also a Windows 98 machine. It had negligible effect.
Interesting.
Negligible effect on the XP machines. On the 98 machine, it improved startup by 50%.
Now that I believe, because NTFS is a much better file system than the old FAT32, so it really did make a difference.
It is. And notably, the defrag, the speed disk that comes with Norton, that's supposed to cluster all the frequently used files in the closest point.
Did that help?
No.
No?
No. No, it was
I
rather embarrassing.
thought that might actually make a difference. Okay, it does.
Okay,
right.
So then people say, well, maybe your registry's full of stuff.
Yes, clean your registry. We see that a lot.
Clean that out.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
Not at all.
Nothing. 0, no impact, or negligible. I mean, it's like 1
Not even on
2%.
startup?
No.
No. Okay.
So now, mind you,
Very interesting.
the changes we did see were like 1 or 2% either side of 0 sort of
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
So it could have been margin of error, but I mean, there was nothing major. Now, finally, the one thing that we did do, this wasn't a software fix, it was a hardware fix. We went from 256 megs of RAM to 512 megs of RAM. Now, there's a commonality in all of this, and that's that you know, what we're doing with msconfig is we're cleaning out the memory.
Right.
Or we're adding memory.
Well, it's also turning off things that might be running in the background, too. So
Which is eating up
CPU
memory.
cycles. Well, memory and CPU.
CPU cycles, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had huge impact. I mean, 2 or 3% improvement in performance going from 256 to...
2 or 3%?
2 or 3%,
okay.
yeah. Now we didn't...
That's not negligible, but it's not as much as 18%.
Now, and what that sort of leads to the conclusion is that I think we're going to actually look at some more hardware tweaks. We're going to look at improving the graphics card. We're going to look at a faster CPU, and that's the thing. We're going to do another.
Well, that certainly would make a difference on PC.
With hardware tweaks, exactly.
Yeah.
But ultimately, get stuff out of memory or add memory.
Simplify.
And coming back to your original thought,
yeah.
you know, white strip the machine.
I would love
down.
to see you do a clean install on one of these machines and then see what kind of scores you're getting on the PC.